WNBA players are very petty, and I love that they are so committed to living out their truth. I think that, there's a clear disliking of Caitlin Clark. It's just obvious. I don't know. I don't know why that is.
The WNBA All-Star Game is taking place July 19th in Indianapolis, and now we know the starters, the full roster, the reserves. I think more people, though, Rodney, are talking about the rankings. So we got a chance to get a look at the fan ranking, the media rankings, and most importantly, the player rankings, where Caitlin Clark was ranked the 9th best guard in the WNBA. Let's just start there, Rodney. What did you make of that, especially when you have Paige Bueckers ranked at number 4? I'm just curious.
WNBA players are very petty, and I love that they are so committed to living out their truth. I think it's very powerful, but I just, I can't. Your first team all WNBA last season. The next season, there's a rookie who's playing well in Paige Bueckers, but who isn't even remotely close to the pace that you were on in the previous season. And, now the players have her ranked over you. I think that, there's a clear disliking of Caitlin Clark. It's just obvious. I don't know. I don't know why that is. She hasn't had the best season. I acknowledge that. She hasn't shot the ball from three particularly well this year, leads the league in turnovers, but like any point guard who has the ball in their hands a lot, who is risky with making certain passes, you're going to have high turnovers when you have the assist rate that she does as well. So that's to be expected. Jason Kidd led the NBA in turnovers, so it's not uncommon for a point guard to lead the league in turnovers per season. Yeah, so that's what are your thoughts? Let me not just inject all my masculinity.
I was shocked. I was shocked that they had her ranked that low. I wouldn't go as far to say as they dislike her or they hate her, right? I've seen a lot of people saying that. I think that what it is not a disrespect towards Caitlin. I think it's more of maybe a respect for other guards that aren't getting as much attention. I'm trying to see it from my girls, Rodney. I'm trying to see it. I don't want to just throw them.
Why do you create
I don't want to just throw them away.
So many excuses for this?
I'm not trying to create excuses, but I'm saying, okay. I'm saying, if I'm in the WNBA, right? I know basketball. I'm obviously playing it at the highest level. I don't know if they see something in these other guards that maybe they don't see in Caitlin. I know that sounds weird. I'm trying to play devil's advocate. It's not really working. How about we just go break down the list?
Oh, go ahead. Let's do it.
Okay, so at number 1, Alicia Gray. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Alicia Gray at number 1, and then Sabrina at 2. Then at number 3, we have Skylar Diggins. Not knocking Skylar, but okay. 4
Kelsey Plum is not better than Skylar Diggins. Kelsey Plum not better than Skylar Diggins.
I mean, I'm not knocking Skylar, but anyways, okay. So then at 4, we have Paige Bueckers with Natasha Cloud, and I've seen a lot of people giving Natasha heat, and I was like, "Are y'all watching?"
Look, I love Natasha. She family.
I don't know if she should be 4, but don't try to act like she's not a hooper. Come on.
Yeah, but that's a little bit. I mean, Natasha is not an all-star this year, and I think what Natasha does on the defensive end and in terms of leadership, I think is incredibly invaluable. Her intangibles are off the chart. She's turned herself into a phenomenal three-point shooter, but she's not a better player than Kelsey Plum. I say that respectfully. It's not. That's not even close. And there's some others as well. And she's not better than Caitlin Clark.
So then at 6 is Kelsey Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad at it. 7 is Brittany from the Mystics. And then 9, of course, is Caitlin.
Yeah, that's a weird list. But you know what? We saw this in the NBA. We saw that the players in the NBA rated Tyrese Halliburton the most overrated guard in the league. And then we saw him lead his team to the NBA Finals and were within, an Achilles away from potentially being NBA champions right now. So there's something about players that, just don't see certain players the way that media and fans do. Now, why Caitlin Clark would fall into that category is beyond me, considering how clearly good she is. I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
No, it is. No, I agree. It's interesting. It's really
interesting. When you have that target,
really sure what they're seeing. Yeah.
You know what? Here's what it is, man. Athletes are very specific kinds of people. and they are very there's so much synergy between all athletes, obviously, right? Because in order to accomplish the incredible task of becoming a professional athlete, it takes a certain kind of wiring. And so when people who exist on that frequency see somebody that doesn't necessarily represent and reflect either their work ethic or their characteristics that they find to be on par with what they think an athlete should be, they just really don't like those kinds of people.
In this case, though, it's like that shouldn't even be.
I'm not saying Caitlyn don't work hard or they think that she doesn't work hard.
Yeah, because I'm saying
no.
There's nothing that can be said. There's literally nothing that can be said about the caliber player.
When they see a guy or when they see a person that they feel is undeserving of certain acclaim, there's a tendency then to try to cut that player off at the knees. I mean, Rudy Gobert is another example, even though he's actually ass. But when the league decided that Rudy Gobert was ass, nobody could ever honor the fact that he was the defensive player of the year. You know, like I just said, Tyrese Halliburton. There's just certain people who give off a certain air that their peers do not like. It happens in any professional environment. Unfortunately, for the WNBA, I think its players are just targeting the absolute worst person to have this kind of disdain for, because she is going to be the catalyst that puts so much more money into your pocket. And to act as if you don't understand that is just, I don't know.
I get it.
Cutting off your nose to spite your face.
It's not all about the money and the attention, right? Like, I guess I don't know what their thought process was behind the ranking. I think for me, it's more so like you're doing this and now there's more heat. There's more of these discussions that the media is having about why you dislike this player. And that's not what you want. You made it clear that you don't want to keep talking about this player, that everybody's cool with her. We don't got no beef. We love her. Whoop-de-whoop. But then when it's right here, plain as day, number 9 in the league, now we're all having to have these discussions. And now people are about to start asking y'all, well, why did y'all rank her 9? Like, you sure you like her? And that's not what y'all want to do. So it just doesn't really make sense. I don't know.
I do want to just talk about the fact that, you know, Caitlyn has missed a fair amount of games, a lot of games this year. And so too has Arike, right? So Arike is also not on this list. And, you know, when she's healthy and on the court,
which she
yes, you know, she's elite. So maybe the players are actually like taking a look into this season and taking into account the fact that Caitlyn has not played as many games, the fact that she's shooting 29% from 3, you know, but it's hard to catch a rhythm like that when you've been in and out of the lineup because of injury. So, you know, I'm actually going to give the players a little grace, and maybe they're just being true to the fact that this season, not last season, but this season, Caitlyn, you know, has missed too much time to be considered better than some of her peers who've been on the court more consistently.
I was trying to play devil's advocate with that, but I don't know. I guess it didn't land. But I mean, but you see where they vote off potential for some people, like Asia Wilson. The Aces look a little, I don't know what they got going on, but she's still number 1.
Is Asia better than Nafisa Collier? Let me just, is she better than Nafisa? Has Nafisa caught up?
No, listen, Rodney, I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
Why?
I don't want to touch this because Asia is my girl. I love Asia down, but Fee, I think she got her.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can say that. We could love Asia Wilson and just be able to identify that somebody has caught up to her and maybe even surpassed her in a given season. Asia is still Asia, but clearly what Fee is doing both on the court and then when you talk about her contributions off the court and what she's doing, you know, she's a special person. So we got to be able to highlight and champion her as well, because she's also putting a lot of money in a lot of players' pockets. So we can talk about her.
So I just gave you the top 2 front court here. And then at 3, okay, so Nneka at 3, then Brianna at 4. Okay, Angel Reese is at 12. And I haven't seen a lot of people mad at Angel Reese at 12, but I've seen a lot of people upset at Aaliyah Boston at 9.
Thinking it's too low?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Aaliyah Boston has played really well this season. I was on her ass last year. She came back this year, and she's finishing.
Like she slimmed down. She's like, I don't know what.
She's playing really well.
Indiana, they doing some things up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Angel being 12th is is probably accurate. She still made the All-Star team, so regardless of where she
Right.
falls from a talent
Because she was
perspective,
5 in fan voting. So
that
she
brand
was 5th in fan.
looms so large that she's a commodity, and she's been playing really well the last like 9 or 10 games. I just want to go on record. I was
Yes.
gonna read her stat lines. Like she's been hooping. She had another double just yesterday. So shout out to Angel Reese.
Yes.
We
She
don't need to
just
go
had
down the
some sort of, she just broke another record or something like that. She keeps, I don't know, it was like 5 straight games.
Yeah, she's got like 37 doubles in 50 games. She released some merch when she got announced as a 2-time All-Star. She Me Bounds, she copyrighted. She Bounds, she copyrighted, and she used both of those phrases on her merch, which I think is fire. She's taking it with a grain of salt, and clearly she's starting to hit a little bit of a groove and finishing better. As opposed to talking about the front court, I do want to talk about who did not make the All-Star team and who did. Because it was an interesting list. Some reserves that were announced. You had 2 Mystics rookies, which I thought was interesting, considering that Brittany Sykes did not make the All-Star game, and she's leading the team in scoring, and that offense is entirely built around her. She's averaging 18, I think, in like 6. And you chose 2 rookies over her. There's clearly an agenda to promote younger players by the WNBA, or like just targeting certain people to amplify. Very strategic, very calculated, it feels like. Doesn't necessarily all feel like basketball stuff. And I'm interested to know how you feel about that. The WNBA picking and choosing, who they platform.
I do feel like, yes, they are trying to center things around this new age of women's basketball players because they bring the fans, because they bring the viewership. You know what I mean? Like, I think more people know, unfortunately, they know Kiki. They remember her from college. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that, but I think that is true.
And so that's why I was asking, how do you feel about the league, and not even just the WNBA, but even the NBA championing and platforming certain players, not solely based on basketball decisions. The NBA, I feel like, honestly does a poor job of that, because the biggest star in the NBA based on social media is LaMelo Ball. And so to not have LaMelo Ball be a part of All-Star Weekend, I feel like is a disconnect between the NBA and Gen Z. Because they want to see their guy.
Right. And so maybe the WNBA is overcorrecting. Maybe they saw, okay, why is LaMelo or some of these other younger guys that do have the social media following not in the All-Star games? So they tried to do that here. So I don't know.
It's tricky, right? Because you do want to be progressive. You do want to be forward thinking and future thinking when it comes to the league, but you also don't want to alienate and leave out the players who this league is, the back is built. They're the players whose back this league is built upon. That's the tricky part of this league ascending the way in which it has, because there's clearly a youth movement, right? There's only but so many roster spots, and that in itself makes it competitive between young and old. And so, it's just, what do you do with this league going forward? How can you continue to allow the surge of new energy, the excitement of the collegiate game transfer over to the WNBA without losing the fan base that they have after graduating or coming into the W, while also making sure the players who have been kicking ass in your league for 5 to 12 years are still being valued in an adequate and equal sort of way? That is a really tough balancing act, and it'll be interesting to see how the WNBA tackles that going forward.
Yeah. Well, before we go, who do you feel like has the better squad, though?
I don't know. It depends on who plays. Like, is Caitlin actually gonna play? It depends. I'm gonna go with whatever team Nafisa Collier is on. I think is just gonna win.
Oh, okay.
I think that she's just wherever she at, I'm always gonna roll. I
mean, that team right there, Caitlin's team is pretty stacked. You got Fee, you got Leah Boston, you got Asia and Brianna Stewart.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All right, well, you all let us know your thoughts out there about Caitlin Clark being ranked the 9th best guard in the WNBA by her peers. You think it's too low or adequate, just considering how many games she has not played this season?